Using electrical tape to keep this switch turned off isn't sufficient. Instead, we'll use the handles from this binder clip. To more easily install snow chains, we can use a brick. Lay out the chains with the brick placed in the center and then drive onto the brick. Connect the chains and then drive off. We don't want to strip this screw, so we can use double-sided tape onto our drill bit to get better grip. Before getting started painting, it might be a good idea to wrap masking tape around the brush to keep it clean. Then when we're finished, we can remove the masking tape. By heating up this nut and bolt, we can press it into this fitting and flatten the other side. Now we can tighten this nut with our bare hands. Wood clamps can also act as an excellent marking gauge. A nail can be used to mark the center of this board to cut out larger holes. We can shave out a small notch in our pliers to help us attach rivets. Place a bearing, binder clip, and another bearing onto this bolt. Then we'll place our utility knife into this binder clip. We've successfully built a little guide for our utility knife. If we install these wire clips, with the clips facing the opposite direction, these can act as clips for our drill bits. When wrapping two wires together, here's a good way to do it. Fold one of the wires back on itself, and then the other wire will pass through the bend and around the folded wire. This gives us a nice and secure wrap. We want to cut this plastic trim in such a way that it wraps around the post. To do this, we'll first mark out the width of the trim around the post. Then, we'll cut out triangles to the inner sides of the trim. We'll do this for each corner. Now our trim wraps around the post. We can fit baseboards at odd angles with just a bit of tracing. We can use a smaller piece to mark out all the corners. Now we'll just connect the inner corners to the outer corners. Here's another life hack to prevent electrical switches from being turned on. Pass a wire through the switch like so. And if it makes you feel better, you can tie the ends in a knot and put a padlock on the end. For our next project, we'll be making a mechanical arm that helps us use our angle grinder. We'll start by attaching these metal frames together with a bolt. Then we'll weld together a clip that will go around the frames and attach it to the angle grinder. We'll attach these two metal brackets to the clip that will hold the angle grinder. Next, we'll mount the metal frames to this large board. And then mount the board itself to our workbench. Now our new tool will help us make cuts with our angle grinder. And our last project for this episode is going to be a quick way to make very rough dowels. We'll start by drilling a hole that's a bit bigger than the size of the dowel that we want into a block of wood. Then we'll use our table saw to make a cut to the bottom of that hole. Next, we'll attach a wood screw into our drill and then drill the screw into our dowel. Now we can pass the dowel through the hole while drilling to create a dowel. It should end up looking something like this. Don't have a tripod for your laser level? Make a shallow slit into the drywall and place the angle grinder disc into the slot. Then set your level on top. We need our pipes fully insulated, including the elbow pipe. We'll simply cut both ends of the insulation at a 45-degree angle using a utility knife. Here's an interesting way to solder the ends of wires. First, we'll take out the soldering tip and replace it with a bolt and a bracket. We can stabilize our soldering iron. Now we can melt the solder into the bracket and then dip our wires into the solder directly. We can twist wires together nice and evenly by attaching a wooden dowel into a socket bit and then stick the wire into the wooden dowel. Secure the wires with pliers and drill. Cleaning the grout between tiles can be tedious. Here's an easy way to speed up the process. Cut off the head of a brush and drill a screw into its center. Tighten the screw into the chuck, and now the drill can do the scrubbing for us. If your jigsaw blade is dull, we can give it another use. Grind off the teeth with an angle grinder and then sharpen the edge like a knife. Attach it to a jigsaw, and now it can be used to cut cleanly through thick foam boards. The staple gun is a great and useful tool to have on the job, but ours happened to run out of staples a bit earlier than expected. That's okay. We can use an office stapler instead. We can use a rubber mallet to help fully drive the staples into the wood. Here's one way you can sharpen your pencil a bit faster, just using the help of a drill. Here we're going to use a wood clamp to help us mark parallel lines to the edge of the board. Unscrew the top and use the hole to make your mark. Next up is a DIY torque washer. Make 2 parallel incisions about halfway through both sides of a wide washer. Use a plier to bend the tines 90 degrees and then weld a nut onto the top of the washer. We can install it by hammering it in on one side and then securing it fully by screwing it in with a bolt. This is especially useful for building furniture. This water handle is broken. We can make a new handle using a cord on each side of the cord. Put each loop through the opposite loop, one under and one over, like so. Place the loop over the water bottle and pull it snug. Now we have an easy way to carry our water bottles. Anyone who's worked with wood knows that sanding can take a long time. Today, we'll try to speed up the process by making a sanding drum. By hot gluing a bolt to the center of this wooden dowel. Then we'll make a deep incision through the center of the dowel, and next we'll slide sandpaper into the incision, wrap it around, and glue the sandpaper onto itself. Now we have a sanding drum for all of our projects. Next, we're going to be making a homemade coffee grinder. We'll need 3 snap-off blades, snapped off to the correct size, an extra long bolt, and 4 nuts. Tighten the nuts to the end of the bolt with the blades in between. Make sure it's securely fastened so the blades stay put. Drill a hole into the center of the lid. Twist a nut to the center of the bolt and drop the washer on top of it. Place the lid over the washer and then another washer on top of the lid. Secure the whole thing with the final nut. Tighten the lid to the jar to make sure that the bolts can twist freely without any wobble. All that's left is to fill the jar with coffee beans and attach the bolt to the chuck and drill. Now we can brew a fresh cup of coffee to get our day started. Lastly, we'll be doing a bit of arts and crafts by making a simple decoration. Start by wrapping this wire tightly around this PVC pipe, then pulling it apart for the right shape. We'll bend the top into a little hook. Next, we'll hot glue a steel ball into the middle of our spring and let it dry. We'll tie a piece of string to the top end of the ornament